What's up, guys? It's the Cheapster here, back with another video, and today is my birthday. So, what's that? Look at the camera. Over there. You look so scared. You were much better at this when you were younger. Go lay down. He was laying so comfortably and he's mad that I made him dance. Alright, so what this video is I like to take this time on my birthday every year to actually just make a video and talk about what's kind of happened in my life over the last year, usually relating to finances and stuff, to let you guys kind of know what have I learned in 30 years of life. Probably not as much as I should. And also, since it's my birthday, we're going to crack open a nice, refreshing Busch Light. I think last year when I did this, I'm always drinking a cheap beer. I think it was PBR last year. Now it's Busch Light, which I think might be cheaper than PBR. So I'm getting cheaper every year. I'm not usually a Busch Light guy, but you know what? I moved to the South, so now I gotta drink the Busch Light. All right, so today, which is actually not the day this video will be going out. It'll be going out a little bit later. But today, I just turned 30, which is pretty wild that I'm actually 30 now and out of my 20s. Gotta admit, it was a lot harder to get out of the 20s and go into the 30s than I thought. I know people always kind of say that, where they talk about, 30 is like such a big deal and they kind of have problems with it. And I just always thought, I'm not one of those people who would feel that way when I got there. Until I got there, and now I'm like, yeah, it's weird to say that you're leaving your 20s, and I realized that when you get into your 20s, you're only excited about it. When you turn from 19 to 20, you're excited because 20 means you get to do so much more. You also are probably already in college, so you're not really like changing what you're doing in your life. You're just going up to freshman to sophomore, sophomore to junior, whatever. So 20 to 30 is kind of like that big change where you're like, you're leaving that behind, and now you're just an adult who's just living life. That's terrible. No, I'm just kidding. But I will say there is a lot of stuff that I've put on, like being 30, just because it's a rounded number and I've been coming up on it. There's been so many things where I've been like, I'll have kids when I'm 30. I'll do this when I'm 30. We'll get a second dog when we're 30. We've just said so many things like that about when we get to being 30. And now it's here, and I'm like, some of that stuff I'm not sure if I want to do right now, maybe a little bit later. And there's also been some other stuff where it's like goals that I've wanted, where I've just said, we'll get there by 30 and stuff, and maybe we're not there with some of those goals. Some of the goals we actually have done pretty well on and stuff to get to this point, but it just comes up on you much quicker than you'd expect, and I think that's really why 30 has affected me, and I guess I'm just, a normal person now, because most people say it affects them. So it's just been weird. It's been weird going out of the 20s. I don't really want to leave the 20s. I kind of hung on to it. Even when I was 29, I kind of viewed myself as like 22, which I wasn't. So it's definitely hit me harder turning 30 than I expected it would. But, we're always moving on. I've heard a lot of people say that 30s are the best years of their life. And it makes sense, because in your 20s, you have to live cheap. You've got to do everything so cheap because you just don't have money. And in the 30s, I still don't have money. I'm just kidding. No, I mean, it's definitely a lot better, but I will say your expenses kind of go up. You start doing more investing and stuff, and you still kind of don't feel like you have money. At least that's kind of how I feel. But that actually brings me to the next thing I want to talk about, which is in this past year, I've done so much stuff with investing, and it has been so much fun. I really got to say, even though the past year, the markets have been pretty bad. I mean, there's been a lot of issues with the markets. It was kind of the worst time to really start getting invested because everything dropped down. But also at the same time, I would say sometimes that's the best time, because then you just kind of get numb to drops and you just keep investing and you don't really care. And now the market's kind of started to recover. And guess what? I've bought like at those bottom points. So it kind of is good to get to experience this like right off the bat when I really get started investing after we paid off our debt last year. Or was that the year before? Literally, I'm losing track of time. I can't even remember when things happen anymore. I'm 30, give me a break. But yeah, investing has been so much fun to be able to just get into that and be able to see things build for the future, and to be able to just be part of things like buying companies. Doing these Side Hustle Millionaire videos, I've been able to buy into so many companies, which just keeps your focus on paying attention to what's happening with those, which makes you understand more about what's happening in the economy, in the financial markets, all that kind of stuff. So it's just cool to get involved in it and get to see it and be part of that now, and to see your future grow. I really enjoyed it. So if you guys aren't investing, I definitely recommend it. Get started as soon as you can. It's really great to be able to get into that and just see things take off. And just a side note here with that, I did start investing like a long time ago, but then stopped because I had a bunch of student loan debt that I had to pay off. So I pretty much was just paying that stuff off for the years after that. But when I got started, this is a reason why you should start as soon as possible. One of the companies I was interested in was Tesla, and that was back in like 2016, 2015, something like that. And when I look back at what their price was, it has now 20 times where they were. So there was a time I know that I had like $2,000 in Tesla stock. So if I had kept that in until today, that would be $40,000 I would have just off that $2,000. So that's just a really good example of why you should get in soon, and just keep your money in and let the markets do what they do. And also another thing with investing, we bought our house not that long ago. It's been about a year and a half now, which is kind of crazy. The time is just flying by right now. I don't know what's going on, but we bought our house, and there's definitely been a lot to learn about, you know, owning a house, and we bought a fixer-upper and all the stuff along with that. But I will say some of the things I do want to say to you guys for advice is two things. One, they are kind of conflicting. So that's what's kind of hard with it. One, we bought our house when the markets just exploded. So we've done very well with the equity in the house. And I always had the idea that, you know, you should try to buy a house that's pretty high up there. It's something that definitely needs work. That's what we have, a house that needs a ton of work, but it's also in a pretty good area. So it was kind of higher on our income level. And I know that doesn't seem to make sense for the cheapster, but what my thought was, obviously you get more exposure to the markets when you buy a house that is more expensive, like in a nicer area or something. And that's what we did. And it did work out because the markets raised a lot. We got a lot of equity off the house, and it's been really great. But the other side of this, number two, what I would say is, because I didn't stay cheap on the house, it has been a lot more burdening than I expected it to be, because we have a big house payment now, which it's not like we have a problem with it. We can pay that house payment, but it definitely puts a lot of burden on you. And for the type of lifestyle I've wanted to live, which is pretty free, be able to just have your expenses covered and stuff, it's kind of hard to do. It's kind of hard to have that and do that. But also at the same time, my thought was, you do this now, you get a house now, you can fix it up. Obviously this house needs tons of work. We're going to be fixing it up, and then we'll be able to sell it. And then that, you can kind of take that money and put that towards being able to have financial freedom and stuff. So it all kind of works out in the end. And that's where I will say, yes, it's like, it is working, but we do have to carry the burden of that along with it. So it's just some food for thought for you guys, that some of the stuff that seems like, yes, that's the financially smart thing to do, there's other parts to it. And that burden that comes with it could be maybe not worth it to you, because you want to have more of a free life and stuff like that, which I don't know. Next year, maybe I'll have more of an idea on if we did the right thing here, or if this was too much of a burden, we really shouldn't have bought a house like this. I don't know, but that's kind of where I am right now. But I'd also say with this, which kind of brings me to my next point, what I've been learning about becoming 30 is that it's kind of the cliche, but literally YOLO. You only live once. I don't know why this sounds like so stupid, but I guess this is something that's been in my subconscious and I never realized it. My whole life, I've always worked so hard for the future. I've always tried to, you know, save, to have money for the future and all that. And as I've turned 30, it kind of just occurred to me that, you know, my future is my future in years forward. So I mean, my future is literally, I will be like 50 years old or something, and that's the future at that point that I get to live with that money or with whatever it is that I've worked to get to that point. And I know that seems like common sense, but for some reason getting to 30 just kind of hit me and made me realize I don't get to save all my money now to get to a point where I'm like 50 and be able to have a lot of money and be able to, you know, live a pretty comfortable, fun life at that point, and go back to my 20s and live that life with the money. I know that doesn't make any sense at all, but for some reason in my subconscious, I've had that idea where it's like, I do this now and then I come back to this age with the money from the future. And it's like, that's not the way it works. I know that sounds really, really stupid. I don't know how to explain it if you haven't noticed yourself do that, but for some reason that's what I've done over the years. And it's really made me realize that as I've turned 30, that's not what happens. Also, not to mention with that, we don't know how long we'll live. I don't know that I'll live to 50. I don't know that I'll live past today. I mean, we have no idea what's going to happen in our lives and stuff. So it's a fine balance of finding where you're actually saving for the future and stuff and being smart with your money, but also being able to enjoy the days that you have now because you don't know how long they're going to last. So that's why I would say YOLO actually became kind of a big part of this year, which is weird. Like, you know, it's such a dumb cliche, but I'm kind of like, yeah, you know, it's right. you do only live once, and you got to make sure that you're enjoying those days today, but also preparing yourself to enjoy them for tomorrow. It's a hard balance, but it's been a big thing I've been learning. Also, bouncing off that, so it's kind of a catch-22 here, because you've got the YOLO, you only live once, which kind of makes you feel rushed, like you need to get stuff done to be able to experience life right now, to not miss out on it and stuff. But the big thing that I would say over this past year, for sure, that I have had some of the most trouble with is just being in a rush. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I was coming up on 30 from 29 and knowing that now my life is in the 30s, and it does kind of feel like a closing of a chapter to me, and I wanted to get more done before that happened or something. I don't know, but I definitely have had too much of a problem lately with rushing around and trying to get stuff done in ways that just aren't even possible. And that could be stuff like our house is a massive gut project that we have to do. It's not even one house, there's a small house behind it, so it's actually flipping 2 houses, and there's a garage that we have to deal with, so, and there's a blacktop. There's a lot of stuff. This house has a ton of work, and I've been like trying to rush through it in my mind, and this is, you know, a multi-year project and stuff. I don't need to be so rushy with it, and that's something that I've learned. That song, it's a dumb song, but it's on TikTok, that's like, slow down, you're doing fine. That has been such my motto lately, because I don't know why. It's dumb, but I've been so rushed, and I don't know if it's just, you know, the generation we're in, or the type of, we got phones and stuff, news is always constantly coming at us, things are always coming, people are always making YouTube videos letting you know about stuff. So I don't know if that's just made things feel so rushy to me, and to be in that feeling of I've just got to get everything done today and be at a certain point already. That's not really where we are. And I guess what I'm trying to say is you just need to let things happen, like in the time that they're going to happen. Like, you know, I have these big dreams for the future and stuff, for saving and investing and be able to get to these points to be able to experience life in this really great fun way, because I've, you know, not experienced a lot of it right now. It's the old Dave Ramsey mantra. Is it mantra? Is that the word? Live like no one else now so that you can live like no one else later. That's kind of been definitely a motto of my life. But I guess the later part I've tried to push forward, and I keep trying to push it forward and rush to get to that point. And you know, some of that's just not possible. So it's about, you know, relaxing, letting things come the way they come, which, like I said, is kind of conflicting when you've got the YOLO mentality and the don't rush mentality. But, you know, that's a lot of life. A lot of life is trying to balance things, trying to find how you're going to be able to do these things both and not be extreme on one end. Like I said, with being able to live and enjoy your days now, but also being able to save for the future, it's a really hard balance. It's hard to find those kind of balances and things, but that's something I've really been trying to learn and to work on in this next year. All right, and the last thing I want to say to you guys is that we have a big announcement coming soon, something that's definitely going to change the channel, probably the biggest change for the channel that I've ever had, and I'm super pumped for it. I was thinking about giving you guys a clue of what it is, but I think I'll just make a video off it because it's too big of an announcement. But that is it, guys. I hope you guys can relate to some of these things. Maybe you're younger and you haven't really gone through a lot of this stuff going into your 30s, or feeling these ways. Or maybe you're older and you've already kind of been through this and you're like, yeah, I remember going through that, feeling that kind of stuff too. But I really appreciate you guys just watching these videos and letting me kind of talk. It's fun to do this on my birthday, just to, like, you know, throw some ideas out there, throw some stuff that's come up in my life, and just be able to relax with a nice bush light. And also at the end of the year, I always do a YouTube recap, kind of talk about how the year in YouTube has gone. But of course, I always want to thank you guys for watching the videos and stuff, and for making this part of my life. It's been so fun to do YouTube and get to just do this kind of stuff. It's always what I wanted to do, and it's just been so awesome. But thank you guys for watching, and if you guys like the video, remember to do the cheapest thing you can this year. Tap that like button, and also subscribe to the channel to keep up with more stuff like my Side Hustle Millionaire videos, where I grow my portfolio just through side hustles, and all the other stuff. But thank you guys so much for watching, and remember, stay cheap.
Hey, you better be saving that money. Don't you be spending it now. You're still here watching this? You might as well just subscribe. Why would you not at this point?